Yes, welcome to the War Room. Welcome to Downs in the depths of Ireland somewhere in Leitrim and Wexford. Two men striving for news. One working in the sewers and the other one still trying to find electricity for the first time. I'm not talking about Philip, I'm talking about myself. But guys, welcome to Dermot's and Philip's political podcast. He's going to kill me one day. He will find me and kill me. Yes, we haven't been on, and there's a very good reason why we haven't been on. Philip has been on the Donald Trump don't come on list.
Be very careful what you say next, Dermot.
Yes, Donald Trump has watched a couple of our podcasts. He's become Philip's biggest fan, and he's trying to get him over to America to be his next speechwriter. To Philip's promptly said, "No, thank you. I don't fancy having a headache." He's going to kill me. He will kill me. Also, why we haven't been on, Philip's also been invited over to Russia to sort out the Ukraine and Russia war by Putin. Philip did politely decline, stating, and this is true, stating if Putin won't give me a cat, I will not come over. And he won't give him a cat, so he won't come over. So we are going to send Philip off to the UK tomorrow. He is going to be the Irish envoy to go and sort out the UK and what's happening over there. He is going to talk to Mandelson and kick him up the arse and stick him in prison. He's then going to go down and see the London mayor, give him a bit of a bollocking. And then finally, he's going to drop up to see the king, shake hands with him. And then finally, he's going to see Keir Starmer. I'm going to pay for this later or somewhere along the line. He's now writing the list. This is my getting back thing. Then he's going to go and see Keir Starmer and tell him what for. Philip, what a mess. What an absolute thing. I said it to Derville last night. If you look at Ireland and you look at the UK, we have the most stable politics, I think, in Europe right now. Have you ever seen it so messy? And if Starmer does go, I think it's going to be their seventh prime minister in 7 years, 8 years, something as stupid as that.
Well, I mean, when you see that they elect people with the absolute quantity and quality of Boris Johnson and Liz Truss, then you fear for them, you know. Yeah. Now, I have a lot of sympathy for Keir Starmer, really. I mean, he's in an impossible situation there. The one thing that's going for him at the moment, I think, is the fact that Labour have a majority still of 156 odd seats in the House of Parliament. So no matter what happens, if he goes and somebody else comes in, they are safe enough for another couple of years. I mean, I know there's this thing about reform coming up on the outside, but I think Nigel Farage has got a real storm cloud coming on the horizon there with that 5 million quid that he took from the big donor, which he didn't declare. So I think they're going to be after him for that. But to see Reform getting as many seats as they did in the local elections after what's happened in America for the last 5 years, I'm beginning to think, is the English electorate as stupid as the American one? Because they have a relatively stable situation going on here. No, it's not, it's volatile. But do they really want Trump Mark II coming on top of them, which will happen if Farage gets into power? So,
I can't see it happening, though. I can't see Farage getting in. But look, they did get a bloody nose in the local elections, Philip. They did get a bloody nose in Scotland, and they did get a bloody nose in Wales. If you're being honest, you can't blame the public for voting how they're voting. It's a protest vote to the government.
It always happens. It always happens in midterms or as elections in go on there.
Yeah, one thing I don't like, Philip, and maybe you're different to me. Somebody with a sir as prime minister seems a bit. He doesn't understand probably the working class people. Labour's always been a working class government.
Yeah,
it's been for the working class, where Conservatives are a bit more the sirs and the posh knobs.
I wouldn't totally agree with you there. I know he's unfortunate to have that moniker hanging over him, sir, but he's not a typical sir. He's not a hooray Henry, like a lot of the Conservative members of the House of Lords would be, and all that sort of stuff. No, he got his sir for his services to his country, which is fair enough. But it probably is. It's like a come back to bite him in the ass now that people are saying he's elite and whatever. He's not really elite. he's a fairly down to earth guy, and I mean, compared to Boris Johnson, Jesus, he's miles ahead of him. But he's run into problems. He's got 80 of his own MPs have called for his resignation. That being said, 100 of his current MPs have signed a statement wanting him to stay. So, he's not completely in the dark or on the run from his fellow MPs, but the pressure must be horrendous on him to actually leave. And if I know what I do if I was in their job, I'd say, okay, lads, I'm off to sit in my back garden, read the paper for the next 3 months, see who comes after me can do any better.
Yeah, look, just to give you a latest on the breaking news, the Chancellor has pulled out an event tomorrow, citing diary changes. She's there. We know the Health Secretary went to see him this morning, lasted 15 minutes, Philip. Yeah. He's now been reported that, and Sky News reported it early as well, that he is going to resign tomorrow.
He's trying to force a leadership battle, isn't he, by doing that?
Yeah. He is. How do you think that it is going down? When he went to see him this morning, so how do you think that conversation went this morning? Do you think he went to see him? Look, I'm going to run against you because. And the funny thing is, Philip, they joined at the same time together.
Yeah, well,
they've only been MPs since 2010. So, and is it a bit like Tony Blair and Gordon Brown? Do you remember that sort of?
Yeah.
Is it the same thing or is it slightly different?
I don't know. I would say they had to defrost the room after that meeting this morning. I'd say there was icicles hanging from the ceiling. It would have been that cold. But you see, the problem is, okay, maybe the likes of Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, they were kind of recognizable characters. To be honest with you, I've never heard of half of these guys that are could be running for the Labour leadership. True. Who are they?
Yeah.
What's their criteria? What's their track record? Are they so up their own backside they think they can do the job? I mean, being head of any country is not a job that suits everybody, as has been proved numerous times in recent years, especially in America at the moment. So, it's a tough job to take on. I know that the main man that they want in isn't even eligible to run at the moment, Andy Burnham. He's not even an MP. So what do they do? Do they wait for him to become elected before they get rid of Keir Starmer, or do they let Keir Starmer muddle on through for another 6 months?
Well, Keir Starmer stopped him from becoming an MP. This is where all this has started. He stopped him. And I do, look, I have slight sympathies for Keir Starmer, not a lot, because as you well know, Philip, we got a lot of friends in the UK, and they do say that the UK is not a nice place at the moment.
Oh, it's not. It's not. It's in trouble. The economy's in the toilet. The immigration situation is shocking. The inflation it's not a good place to be at the moment. I have friends living over there, and they keep telling me that every time I'm talking to them. It's not the place it used to be by any means. As you rightly say, Dermot, they're looking over at us with envy at the moment, the way we have a settled political system here.
And also, I think the row with the Americans as well, like them or love them. All right, we will put that for another stream. But this is a non-Donald.
Well, that's a one-sided row. That is one man making comments he shouldn't be making, and he was rightly put in his box by King Charles a couple of weeks ago, subtly.
What did you make of that speech, by the way?
I thought it was brilliant. I thought it hit home in so many places. It offended Trump without Trump knowing he's even being offended. It was hitting him below the belt, and Trump's so stupid he didn't even know what was going on. He praised him and made out it was the best thing since sliced bread. But the funniest thing was, they presented Trump with a bell from a sunk submarine called HMS Trump. Now, the fact that submarine sank, I think that's the meaning behind giving him that bell. This sub ended up at the bottom of the sea, just like you will in 6 months' time at the midterms.
Yeah, was Uncle Albert driving that boat at the time?
I think he was. Yeah, I think he was actually. Yeah.
Well, look, we know he's got a different attitude on Iran, and we know he's been very late in sending the ships to it. The best bit I heard, Philip, right? This is true as God. We're watching. I sent you the fellow who to watch. Yeah. And me and Dove were watching him one night, and they were saying that Keir Starmer's going to send HMS, I forget what it was called, to Cyprus, to protect their interests. Then about an hour later, it came back on. They're not sending HMS, whatever it's called, because the people that are working on it would only work Monday to Friday, and that have weekends off. So I can understand Trump complaining that the rest of Europe are not helping. The EU isn't helping him trying to open the Strait of Hormuz. Look, forget about the politics of him starting it or whatever, right? I can understand that, him saying that. But I think Keir Starmer has dragged his heels on it, Philip, a little bit.
But so the rest of the European leaders, every one of them. Italy, France, Germany, they've all done the same.
We're neutral, so we don't get involved. We're not part of NATO.
This was an illegal war that he started. NATO does not get involved in offensive situations. NATO is defensive. He never. If he'd have gone to NATO the day before doing it and said, "Listen, lads, I'm going to have a go at Iran. I just want your approval. Maybe you give me a hand if I need it." They probably would have done it. But the fact that he did what he always does, he went off and did it off his own back without telling anybody, and now he's paying the price for it and keeps blaming people for not helping them. You can't expect help for something that you didn't think worth telling the people about before it started. Yeah. I have no sympathy for Trump in the Strait of Hormuz at all. Iran are playing him like a mandolin there at the moment.
So where are we now then? You got that. You got MPs against them. It's actually gone up from 81, Philip, up to 90 now. That's the latest.
It's a movable feast, you know. Yeah, but this other woman that they're thinking of bringing in, Angela
and also
Rayner.
just to give you, we just got a bit of breaking news as well here, Philip, on it. We got it here. It is breaking. Starmer has full confidence in Sterling number 10. Says this 4 hours ago, but 4 minutes ago, Starmer tells ministers, "Don't plunge us into chaos with leadership challenge." Surely it's the right of any party, Philip, if they don't have confidence in their leader, is to have a leadership contest. You look at John Major back in the days when he said it's time to put up or shut up, when he gave that news conference in the gardens of number 10. I think it was before the 97 election or just after the 92 election, in between the two, the election cycle. Margaret Thatcher had leadership contests against her. It is the right, isn't it, of MPs to say, right, we're going to put a challenge in against you. And if he wins, then everyone's got to get behind him. If he does lose, then he's lost for a reason. If that's the case, should there be a general election afterwards? Because whoever comes in hasn't got the mandate from the people to become leader. Should they automatically be a general election if there is a change of leader?
No, not really. No, I don't think so. And plus the fact, I also think the timing of this is so obvious. They're waiting for a week after they lose all those seats in the local elections or whatever, you know. It's a knee-jerk reaction to get rid of the leader they felt has let them down. But I mean, I don't see anybody in that list of potential candidates who's going to do any better. So I think I can understand them being annoyed at losing all those seats and all that. But I mean, it can't be all put down to one man. It's got to be put down to Labour candidates in local councils not doing their job. You know, that's why a lot of them were kicked out. They weren't performing like they should have been. And they thought, they looked at Farage, oh, his guys are all new on the block. Oh, they look good. They're keen. They're hungry. We'll vote them in. Short-term fix. It's a long-term problem, this, and the short-term fix isn't going to fix it. But I don't think the fact that he might be voted out as leader of the Labour Party means there should be a general election. And I don't think it's in the Constitution either, if they have a Constitution, which I don't know if they have or not.
No, but whoever does come in doesn't have the mandate. The party has the mandate, but that person...
Yeah, but the party is still for the overall runner. It's not. It doesn't matter who's leading. It's the overall party, you know?
I get it. But they should, though. I think anyone that comes in...
But you see, it's different, Dermot. It's different. You have a vote of confidence in the leader, right? That's one part of it. If you have a vote of confidence in the government and they lose that, then there's definitely a general election. But the leader does not, same as in Ireland here. If you could have a vote of confidence in Micheál Martin as Taoiseach, right? If he loses that, that's fair enough. If somebody else replaced him. If you have a vote of confidence in the government and they lose it, then there has to be an eleame. That's the difference.
I get that. Yeah, I get that. But surely, if you were to go in, that you would, like Theresa May did, didn't she? She came in after Boris Johnson and took a counter like with, right, I'm going for a mandate. I want my mandate to run the country.
Well, she had a bigger opinion of herself than everybody else had, unfortunately.
Yeah, but the point, I get that, Philip. But the point is, she made the thing that I want the mandate from the people, which is the right. The people
fair
vote
enough.
you in, and
That was
people
up to
vote
her.
you out.
That's up to her, but it's not a legal requirement. It's not.
No.
You vote in a government. You vote in an overall government. You don't vote in one man who happens to be the leader of that government. You know. But we'll see what happens. I mean, it's so fluid at the moment. It could all change overnight.
Yeah. Now there's a lot happening. Also, Nigel Farage is facing investigation over a 5 million gift from the British crypto billionaire.
Also, gave 12 million. He gave 12 million to the party as well. Biggest political donation ever in British history.
Cabinet Minister messaged to Streeton be part of the team. The Transport Secretary says her message to West Streeton is to be part of an effective team. I want us to be part of an effective team. That's what I've said to all of my colleagues, urging Labour MPs not to kick off a leadership contest. Alexander says the British people wouldn't forgive us if we succumb to psycho that the Conservatives did, referring to the embattlement. Prime Minister said that Keir Starmer has got the fire in his belly.
Yeah.
We don't live in England. I would love to know people living in England who are watching this, put in the comments on here what they think. What do they want? Because we live in a country, Philip, to be fair, that's very stable at the moment. We've got a stable government. We may not like the government. We may not approve of what Micheál Martin or Simon Harris has done, especially with the cost of living and should they be doing more with fuel prices and whatever. But we don't live in the UK. We only see what we see from news, from articles, from news, Sky News or whatever.
Yeah. But I think what I've seen from my visits to England, what I've seen over there, infrastructure-wise, is not good. The roads are in bad enough shape. Things aren't being repaired. Housing is, an issue everywhere. It's an issue here as well. So I think there probably does need to be a shake-up, all right? But that shake-up that may take place now at local level, now that there's new faces in the various county councils and city councils all over the place. That may be a help to see things improve a little bit. But England is not in a good place at the moment. It really isn't.
Look, I've said it before. I think, I mean, Jess just says we're in a shit streak. Yeah, I get that. I do, but I think leaving the EU was the starting block of that. But I also feel that maybe, 12, 14 years of Conservative rule hasn't helped either.
No, that's true.
Conservative left them in a dire strait, and Labour have come in, and Labour's always the one that builds everyone up, gets everything back in order, and then the Tories start come in and looking after their own and not looking after the working class people.
I think the Conservatives were actually glad to get out of office, at that stage. They thought, hang on, let's someone else. Let's pass the problem on to someone else who get the blame. We'll just quietly slope away, which I think has happened. Sorry, you're going to ask a question there? Yeah,
well, if there was a general election, the latest reports show that Reform would be the largest party on 246 votes, with Labour on 156, Conservatives on 96, and I think the Liberal Democrats on 80.
Well, okay. Now, the 650 seats.
Yeah.
So 246 is nowhere near enough to get a majority. 326.
They're 19. I think
90 short. 80 short. 80 short. But I mean,
80 short.
Come on, lads. Let's face it. Putting Reform in charge of England would be an absolute disaster. I'm sorry. It would be an absolute disaster.
If you are looking at that, right, we're covering the election, right, and that comes out in the exit poll. Yeah. Which party do you think will go with Reform to get them over the 326, which they need to get over the line?
Well, it's got to be a right-wing party. I mean, it'd be like the Conservatives, maybe. I don't know. But any left-wing party would run a mile from that.
Well, if you do put the Conservatives in that takes them over the line, doesn't it? That takes them, I think, that gives them a majority of 3.
But that would also be the end of the Conservative Party. That would be the end of the Conservative Party as we know it. Because they would lose all face by going in with Farage. Farage to me is just a comic book politician. He thrives on He's a right-wing extremist. He thrives on people's misfortunes. He spends more time in Washington than he does in his own constituency. I don't think he's ever held a constituency meeting in Clacton. So how that guy is going to be, if he's ever prime minister, well, I fear for the country. I fear for the world. Yeah. If you've got Trump in the White House and Farage in 10 Downing Street, God help us all.
I mean, it is shocking, isn't it? It's got to the point where that people like Justania put it this way: I moved to Ireland in a heartbeat. She says, I move out of England if reform get in.
Yeah, that's it. And there's a lot of people who feel that way as well, you know.
Yeah.
And if I was a person of color or an immigrant in England, I would be very fearful if reform get in, because you think Trump's bad in immigration, they would be twice as bad.
Look, for me, I look across. I used to live in England. We both did, Philip, right? And I used to work in England. Then I moved back home here to Ireland, like you did. And the changes in the country is unreal. I said it today. I was saying it to a taxi driver. Anytime I go over to England to watch Tottenham play, they don't check you going in, but you have to go over 3 loads of security just to get out of the country. Seriously, I'm saying the last time me and Derville went over to England, I think we flew into Sheffield. Leeds breakfast. They never checked us once.
Yeah.
We could have been coming. Me and Derville could have been coming from the North Pole, and we could have walked straight in, and they didn't check us once. Coming back.
Yeah. They checked all the way.
Checked all the way. It's very much their security is the wrong way around. And I do feel that whoever gets in is either going to be one way extreme on immigrants, or it's going to be nothing. So where's the halfway house?
Yeah.
Where's the halfway middle?
Yeah. Well, that's what I think that needs to be certainly tightened up a bit, the security and aspect of it. But just to go back to the infrastructure, I think when like you, Dermot, I lived in England when I was a kid. We used to live in a nice little village, and I was back at that village last year. And when I was there, the high street, as they called it, was full of shops like Sainsbury's and Woolworths and Littlewoods and Burton's and men's tailors, stuff like that. You know? And it was a nice middle class or middle lower class area. And I was back there last year, and it was full of phone shops, ethnic restaurants, ethnic shops. None of the old style Sainsbury's, Burton's are left there anymore. And that's synonymous in a lot of towns in England, whereas they've lost their identity. And that is where I can understand the frustration with the immigration policy. Not to say that you've got to be fair and angle on it. There is a lot of anger, and I can see where it's coming from. But it's up to the government to fix that.
Yeah, to balance that out, right? A lot of them do come in, pay their own way. You know, there's a lot of them, especially over here as well. Philip, you know, in this country, there's a lot of anger with immigration in this country, that the younger generation, not your generation or my generation, my son's generation, feel they're being locked out of buying houses or trying to get onto the housing market, being locked out of jobs. And a lot of my son's generation has to feel they have to move away from the country to other countries like Australia or America or Europe or wherever. So where the UK could be slightly worse than us, we've got the same situation here. And our government's not doing enough. So shouldn't it be a proper EU directive that everything should be done properly? There has to be a directive from the EU Parliament that every country has to take so much, but that's it. Ireland has to put Irish people first, and England have to put English people first. I'm not trying to be racist. I'm not trying to be anti-immigration, but there's plenty of people come into this country and pay their way and pay the taxes and pay the rent and work away, same as England. But it's the people that come in and expect everything to be given to them.
Well, I'll give you a good example of that.
Governments of England and Ireland have to do more to really put their own citizens first, especially this younger generation, Philip, that some of them can't get on the housing list, that are living at home to their 30s and 40s. I mean,
I'll give
you
you an
would have
example.
to be in the top end job to get a house in this country. You know that as well as I do.
I'll give an
Get a
example.
mortgage.
I'll give an example of what's happening in some cases. Now, this has been proved. I've talked to people that know well about this. There are people that have come to this country as immigrants. Now, I'm not going to say what country they're from. They could be from any country at all, right? They've been put on the housing list. They've been given council houses or property to live in, basically, right? And having the rent paid for them. There are proven instances of those people going back to the country where they're from, but renting out the houses they've been given and pocketing the rent on it. Now that has to stop. That has to stop.
That has to stop.
And there's people
but isn't
going
that
back.
Down to the government to stop.
Oh, it is. Yeah,
That's
it is. And there's guys flying into Ireland every Thursday and Friday from all over Europe to pick up their dole money. That's got to stop as well.
Weren't the Polish doing that back in the 90s?
Yeah, they're still doing
flying
it.
in.
They're still doing it.
Still doing it.
Yeah, still doing
Romanians flying in and picking up the child benefit and going back home again.
I mean, I mean, if that's what's happening in England, I can understand people's frustration, and maybe that's why they moved over to reform to try and get something done about it. The fact that we're paying, okay, I've great sympathy for the Ukrainian refugees, but a lot of them now are milking the system as well. Unfortunately,
yeah,
they play the rules for a couple of years, and now they're seeing ways they can benefit from it.
Yeah,
it's not good either, you know.
So where do you think it's going to go in the UK with Starmer?
I think he'll survive. I think he'll survive.
I don't think he will.
For a while. He won't survive long term. He won't put them through the next election. But I think what will probably happen there is Andy Burnham will wangle his way in as an MP at some stage. And when that happens, then Starmer's gone.
I think, personally, the health minister over there will resign tomorrow, as we all expecting him to, as the news is coming out that he's going to resign. I think he'll have enough behind him to label a leadership bid against Starmer for the party and Prime Minister.
But has he got German? I never heard of that fellow yesterday. Has he got enough support? Has he got enough support? That's when he should be asking himself that. You know, he might have enough support. He might have enough support to raise enough votes to create a leadership challenge. But has he got it in the heat of the hunt? When people are looking at this, again, a guy with wet behind the ears or a seasoned politician he's not perfect. Which one do they want to lead the country forward? You know, that's a big question to be asked.
Look, as I said before, this would be the 7th Prime Minister in sort of 10 years over there. You can go everyone from Theresa, who is it? Who is the fella that took them out of the?
David. What do you call him? David
Cameron.
Cameron, yeah.
David Cameron.
Then
they had Theresa. Then they had Theresa May.
Yeah.
Then they had 44 days of Liz Truss. She was like the Brian Clough of politics, as he was to Leeds United.
That's a good way of putting it.
It is a good way of putting it. She had a rough ride of it, really, didn't she? A lot happened in her 44 days or 45 days. Then you had Bozo the Clown. For
also known as Boris the Trump acolyte, yes.
Yeah, the man that never actually combed his hair at all. I swear he just rolled out of bed in the morning. He went, that looks okay, and then rolled on. Then you had, then who took over from him?
Oh, God, who took over from him?
Sunak. Rashi. Sunak. Sunak. He took over, then he lost the election, and Labour came in. Do you know what? I watched that election night, and there was optimism. It felt like '97 again to me when Labour
it was getting rid of the Conservatives. That was a huge country's sigh of relief when that happened. You know,
I think there's a lot of people feel let down, Philip, by what Labour have done. I just think there's a lot of people felt let down, and call it a protest vote, call it whatever, going over to reform. Whatever it is in the local elections, but to be wiped out of Wales nearly, Philip,
they were wiped out. Yeah, they've held Wales for 100 years or more. Yeah,
and to be wiped out in most councils in England. I mean, it's not a bloody nose. That is like sending the night in the life of Brian, getting his arms and legs chopped off and still going around in a circle saying it is only but a scratch.
It's only a scratch. Yeah.
I mean, that for me, I think Keir Starmer is a lame duck prime minister at the moment. I really do. I think he's a lame duck. I don't think.
Next few days will tell, isn't it?
Yeah, I think. Look, for me personally, if he's still prime minister by this time next week, I'd be shocked.
I'd be a bit more hopeful for him, although he's not there long term, but he might survive the short term. But we shall see.
We will see. We're going to leave it there because I know Philip is busy packing his bags to go on his latest envoy job. So good luck tomorrow.
By the way, the reason I wouldn't go to Russia for Putin was he was putting me up in the 34th floor of a hotel. So I said I wasn't going to go there. You can work that one out.
Just very quickly, did you see Rod Stewart said to King Charles the other day about his speech and what he called Trump? Rod Stewart said, "Well done on having a go at that rat bag."
Good man.
Giggling. And actually, Charles laughed.
Yeah,
he laughed at that.
Yeah. I had to laugh. Trump was just landed in China.
Oh, has he come out of the plane yet?
Yeah, he came out of the plane, and they didn't send Z to meet him. They sent the second in command.
Yeah,
which is Trump is going to think he's a great fella. They are going to downplay him every time they can get it during this meeting. So anyway, listen. At that, Dermot, I have to go. I should say we'll have Ronan McGreevy on our net. I was talking to Ronan last night. He'll be available next week, so we'll be able to get him back on for his input into what's going on.
There will be another one over the weekend. We will do another one of these because I think we're going to have to be a bit more regular with this.
We'll know more. We'll know more by then anyway. What's happening?
Well, listen. If anything breaks, if Philip's not available, I'll come on and I'll do the show and we'll give you the latest news. I'm going to be trying to get 2 of these out a week. Either with Philip and Ronan, if not by myself. So we're going to be more regular on here as the news goes. But Philip, thank you so much for joining me. And guys, we will be back tomorrow. But anyway, take care and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah, enjoy the trip tomorrow. Enjoy the flight.